Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Love, Death and Movies podcast. This week, it's only the dynamic duo, me and Ash, the pride of the West Coast. Ash, how are you?
That's me. I'm doing good. It's a good Saturday for me. Can't complain.
Nice, nice.
How
Don't
about you?
worry. I'm very well. I'm very well. I'm missing Byron at the moment. That's where my head's at. Don't worry, he hasn't left us. He hasn't gone on to do greater things just yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, yeah. Joe Rogan's getting a 2IC, and he got Byron in. No, he's just off for this episode and last episode. And we are sure he'll be back for next. So Byron, we do miss you. But I'm pretty sure he's still before. Oh, that was
Oh, that
that
was so
was sick.
cool.
That's gonna come up. That was sick. Yeah, whoever watched the video version, that was mad.
Making sure
Um,
you saw that too.
I
Okay,
saw that.
sorry,
That was really
listeners.
cool.
My screen made a heart when my hands made a heart. That was so cool.
Oh man, AI. But this was a movie that like we'll talk about what we're talking about. Well, if you're watching the video version, you can see what we're going to talk about. But this is a movie that Byron had never seen before, so we're kind of keen to hear what he thought. But I'm gonna pressure him to make sure that he watches this so that he can give us his maybe his opinion on a TikTok. So follow us on everything. But this week we are going to go through our deep dive into one of our favorite rom coms of all time, with which is 10 Things I Hate About You. But before we go into that, Ash, peek behind the curtain, we did do our previous episode with Marty yesterday, but in that 24 hours, how have you been?
Let's see. I'm good. Doing that episode with you guys made me want to watch Edward Scissorhands,
I
so I
saw
did
that
that
last night. I
last
saw that on your
night.
letterbox.
I adore that movie. I don't know what it is. Like I said in my review, it's unexplainable, but it's just always been a favorite of mine. Kind of a rom-com-ish, so kind of fits the season. And then I've been working on this puzzle, Harry, that's 1,000 pieces for the last week and a half, and I made a lot of progress last night on a red Corvette, so I feel pretty good about that.
That's
See
awesome.
my photo on my Instagram story. But yeah, how have you been in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, I've been really, really good. But watching like the whole day yesterday, I just watched movies after the podcast, which is
Nice.
good. Like I watched the night before this, I watched Secret Life of Walter Mitty, one of my all-time favorite like comfort films. Loved that. But then I got my reviews should be out by definitely will be out by now. Got sent a couple of screeners, one for this Australian horror movie called You'll Never Find Me. Very awesome, close setting, like really creepy, tense horror film that all takes place within a camper van. Like you don't step outside of it at all. It's really cool.
Mm.
And then I saw How to Have Sex, which is
Oh
the
yeah.
yeah, really, really liked it.
How did you, is that available already to watch? I thought that was a Sundance movie, but I can't recall.
no, so I think it was available in the UK because it's like a very much UK made, but
Got it.
it comes out in Australia in a couple of weeks. But it's really good. Like I got sent that the screener, read the email, and I took it as an insult. I was like, okay, like why are you sending me this? Thank you. But it was great. No, it was
I
really
can't wait to
good.
watch it.
It's a very good like coming of age kind of.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say thriller, but it's like a dark drama. But it's
Okay.
really really good. But we're not here to talk about those movies. We're here to talk about 10 Things I Hate About You, which came out in 1999, was directed by Jill Junger.
Hmm.
Yeah, nailed it. And the synopsis is this: How do I loathe thee? Let me count thee ways. On the first day of his new school, Cameron instantly falls in love for Bianca, the gorgeous girl of his dreams. The only problem is that Bianca is forbidden to date until her ill-tempered, completely undateable older sister Kat goes out too. In an attempt to solve his problems, Cameron singles out the only guy who could be a possible match for Kat, a mysterious bad boy with a nasty reputation of his own. This is 10 Things I Hate About You.
You say Bianca so differently than me.
How
That
do
threw
you
me off
you
so bad.
how do I Bianca? Oh, you say
Bianca.
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 That's not Bianca. Main character is Australian. Bianca. uh,
Fine.
we both know that we both love this movie, but like, tell me what you think about this movie, Ash.
I,
On top.
I don't even know how to start or how to talk about this movie. This is one of my all-time favorite movies. I have probably seen it at least 20 times. I'm trying to think. The first time I ever watched it, I was probably like 11 or 12. Fell in love with Heath Ledger, obviously. And yeah, I've just always loved it. The more I've watched it though as an adult, the more and more I've liked it. I think I took it from like a 4.5 to a, well, I shouldn't be talking about my rating, but I'm going to. 4.5 to a 5, like maybe a year or so ago. I always knew that I loved it, but I didn't know how good the writing and like how good the movie actually is until I was a little bit older and kind of just paid attention to the details. Even this rewatch, I paid attention to certain details even more. And I'm just like, wow, it's so damn brilliant. All the little quips and just some of the one-liners are so good. And I'm sure you
Yeah.
have this in your notes, but this is influenced by the Taming of the Shrew. It's a
Yep.
Shakespearean play. I never read it, but I do love all the Shakespearean aspects of this movie. And how kind of over the top it can be at times. I just think it's such a brilliant rom-com. I think it's a great coming of age movie. And I think it's really well acted for a rom-com. They can tend to be cheesy, but I think this one is really well acted. So I just have nothing but great things to say about it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you said it all. I think this is one of the best rom coms. Um, we'll talk about my score later, I guess. But yeah, I studied this in high school. So yeah, it was Taming the Shrew. And for one of our courses of English, we did Taming the Shrew, and then we had to watch this. Had to. Oh,
Had
dang.
to.
But yeah, this is great. It's a fun fact that several names reflect this Shakespearean origin of the Taming the Shrew. So Bianca and Kat's last name is Stratford. William Shakespeare was born in Stratford upon Avon, wherever that is. Patrick's last name is Verona, birthplace of Petruchio, which is the corresponding character from the play. The high school is called Padua, which is the city in which the play is set. And the two sisters are named Katrina and Bianca, or Bianca, which is the same in the play. Which is,
Nice.
yeah, it's a fun little thing. I think
Yeah.
that we can both agree before we get into this, that the best thing about this movie is one Heath Ledger. He's very much, I think, is the biggest heartthrob. I'm not sure if you saw the TikTok I did on our account
I
last
did. We
night.
both got Heath.
Yeah,
And
as soon as he
the
popped
laugh
up,
that you did when you got him, that was
game over.
so, I can't even explain what that laugh was, but yeah,
Instinctual.
fantastic.
Yeah, instinctual. But he was not the first choice. Did you know this? There was two other people in front of him, and he pushed them away. Um, Josh Hartnett, which at the time
Okay.
he was a big heartthrob back
Hmm.
then, and Ashton Kutcher, which
I don't love that. I don't mind the Josh Hartnett pick, but I don't like the Ashton Kutcher pick.
no, neither. I don't think they're like unbelievable that they were
No.
considered. But I agree. I think that if I was like Heath was the perfect choice, but then I would have gone Josh Hartnett and then Ashton for sure. But let's get into the movie. All right. So the introduction, the movie opens with Cameron James, played by the young and incredible Joseph Gordon-Levitt, arriving at Padua. I think it's Padua. 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 Let's get Padua. At Padua High
Okay.
School, he immediately is smitten by Bianca Stratford, but learns from his new friend Michael. Shout out Michael for this entire film, by the way. Love that guy. Also, he is had a pretty damn good career. Do you remember
Yeah.
the show Numbers?
No.
Okay, it was like this like detective show, but he was like a genius and like he basically solved murders with math. But he's also in Oppenheimer, so well done.
Yep.
But so he learns from his new friend Michael that Bianca cannot date until her older sister Kat, Julia Stiles, does. This has set up the central conflict of the entire film. I do love this scene where they go through the whole high school. And it's very coming of age high school movies where they go through the different cliques. But shout out to this school having a cowboy clique. Holy smoke. I'd be in the middle of that. Yeehaw.
Apparently, you've never heard of where I live, Harry, because there's definitely a
Really?
cowboy clique at
That's
every
awesome.
high school in my town.
That's fantastic. So Cameron and Michael hatch a plan to find someone to date Kat so that Cameron can pursue Bianca. This sets up the stage for the humorous and often chaotic events to come. So I just want to pick your brain. What do you think about this opening? You know, it is very much like it's the start of it's a cliche sort of start of a romance film, but it also kind of sets up the story of like the taming the shrew. What do you think?
Yeah. I have zero issues with this opening. I think it's hysterical. I really think that it perfectly represents sort of the different main characters, you kind of get to know a little bit of Cameron and Michael and Bianca and even Chastity and all of, and Kat and all of them kind of in this initial few minutes of the movie walking around the school. And I think especially with Bianca, I think you kind of get to see how at the beginning she doesn't maybe know what her priorities should be.
Mm.
And she kind of comes off a bit ditzier and more shallow than maybe she really is. But I think that kind of goes to show, kind of what high school expectations can do to a person, especially she's younger. I think she's only a sophomore. So she's still kind of growing. But I think this intro kind of paints her perfectly. And then also Cameron as someone who also is a bit naive and innocent and sort of he's just seeing the first beautiful girl he sees and he's just sort of like, okay, I'm instantly head over heels without knowing a single thing about her. So I think it paints those two characters really well, and also their friendships with like the main person you see them with throughout the movie.
For sure. This reminded me of you've done on Watch This Book Club, Sing Street.
Mm-hmm.
How like the first day of school, Connor goes to school and he sees a girl across the road
Yeah.
and he walks over and she's like, yeah, I do. I'm a model for videos. He's like, oh, do you want to model for my band? And then comes back, he's like, we got to create a band. Like it's kind of like
Yeah,
how I saw it.
exactly.
It's like he sees the one girl instantly smitten. We'll do anything. Like so
Is
yeah,
this the moment when he learns that she is needing a French tutor? Or is that maybe happens a little bit later into the intro? But I believe Michael lets him know that she needs a tutor. And so
that might be it.
like,
Yeah, that might be part of the plan
he's
then.
like,
Yeah,
do you know French? He's like, I do now.
yeah.
So kind of the same thing where he's willing to learn a language he doesn't even know just to get to know her.
I love that because she later on in the film she learns it much quicker than he does,
Yes.
and then she's just like saying like when are you gonna ask me out, and he's just like flipping the pages to try
Yes,
and figure out what she's saying.
exactly.
I love that. But we get the Stratford sisters. So we introduced to Kat and Bianca, two sisters of vastly different personalities. Kat is portrayed as an independent, intelligent, and fiercely feminist, whilst Bianca is depicted as much more of a popular girl but somewhat superficial. Their relationship is strained, with Kat disapproving of Bianca's desire to date. Their father, shout out, Walter, is a gynecologist and is overly protective, which adds tension to their household. This is a little good quote. It goes, "Hi, Daddy. Hi, where are you going? Well, if you must know, a small study group of friends, otherwise known as an orgy. Mr. Stratford, it's just a party, and hell is just a sauna." I love this character so much. So we just get to the plan. So Cameron and Michael approach Patrick Verona, played by the incredible Heath Ledger. Shout out Australia, big ups. The school resident bad boy. I love all the different backgrounds of like theories of what he's been doing the last years. Like he was in
Hmm.
porn or he like went to jail and he like it's so good. When at the end we'll get to it, but you just find out he was just hanging out with his grandpa.
Yeah, the most
Um,
innocent thing ever.
yeah, he's just watching Family Feud. With the proposal to date Kat. So Patrick initially refuses, but eventually agrees, whilst learning about the financial incentive included. This scene sets up the dynamic between Patrick and Kat, highlighting their initial animosity towards each other, but foreshadowing their eventual romantic involvement. So, what do you think of these scenes? Sort of the introduction of the sisters and the dad, which I fucking adore the dad. He's up there with one of my favorite characters
Oh
in
yeah.
this. But then the actual plan of like kind of the introduction of Patrick as well.
Yeah, it's a funny thing that was in rom-coms for us growing up, like in our age range, because there was a lot of this paying money to take out a difficult girl or quote unquote ugly girl or nerdy girl. A lot of this like guys using money and like incentive to kind of use their power to get what they want, I guess. And it's just kind of funny to me that became such a trope after this movie in the early 2000s. So I think this was kind of the first one to really do it. But I do think it is kind of funny that that created such a common trope later on. But yeah, I think that the scene where he's trying to get a bit more money, where
I
he's
love
like,
that.
it's going to be $15 for the movies. She wants popcorn. It's going to be $53.
Yeah.
Like, I love the idea that even in the 90s, popcorn is so extremely expensive that it would just magically make the cost that much more. And then it's like, she's going to want Raisinets. So $75, I
Yeah.
just, that whole scene is one of my favorites. I think it's just so clever, and the way Heath Ledger delivers his lines is so fantastic. Um, I will say it's interesting. When I was younger, I remember not really relating to Kat a lot at all. I thought she was kind of harsh. I thought she was too mean. I thought she had this like energy that was almost too much. But now that I'm older, I really love her. I think that she represents someone that you don't find very often in high school, who is just so sure of herself, so anti doing what people want her to do, people pleasing, so many things that I feel like a lot of girls do in high school, where you're not being authentically yourself. So I respect the fuck out of her character. I think she's fantastic, and I love seeing the differences between her and Bianca, and then watching them slowly start to understand each other more. So I really like the introduction at the house where you kind of get to know them a little bit better, their sister dynamic, their father daughter dynamics. When he's talking about how he delivered, to a 15-year-old, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she was a crack whore," or what did she say? What did she tell me that she was? Her father told her, "I don't know, I'm a crack whore," or something like that. I can't remember the
Yeah.
exact line, but that one always makes me laugh. Just the dynamic with their dad being kind of like without the mom. Obviously, I think it's really sweet, even though he's so harsh on them. I think you could tell it's coming from a place of he's so damn scared of
Yeah.
what's going to happen raising two daughters
It's
by
parties like
himself.
it's parties like this that make me knee deep in placenta. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so
Just
good.
some of the most unhinged things that a dad should never say to his teenage daughters. And I'm pretty sure Bianca tells him like 3 times, "You were so unhinged." So
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I love all of these scenes. Obviously, we get to know Joey a little bit too, who is just the worst kind of prick in high school, so full of himself. But of course, he thinks that he can do no wrong and that the ladies will always want him. So yeah, it's really fun getting through this chunk of the movie.
I do love how they're like, we need a financier of this. So they go approach Joey. And that scene where like he's at the lunch table and he's
He
just
draws a
like,
dick on his face.
yeah, but he's just like, what's in it for you? And he's just like, if we walk past each other in the hallway, I say hey, you say hey back. He's like, cool by
Cool by
proxy,
association.
cool by association. I get it, yeah. But I love his like financier, and then and I was like, I completely forgot the costings of like what this will cost. And he's just like, he's $20. I was like, that's all. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
just get $20 yourselves, dudes. But like, that's so funny. But I guess like the money kept accumulating throughout it. But I don't know, man. Like in Australia, that that is very cheap for films. Like, that is like insanely cheap for movies. Of like, we go to like a movie ticket here is like minimum 25, and then there's like you always go the drinks and the lollies candy like here popcorn and stuff. It's always super expensive. So like you're to go into a movie and get like a drink, popcorn, and the ticket, you're spending 50 like easy,
Yeah. No,
which
he's
is
not wrong. I mean, that's why I love that part where he's just like slowly adding it up, but it's
yeah,
like the tickets to the popcorn is what really sets it over the edge.
it's so good.
So
Yeah.
hysterical.
No, I love the plan as well. The plan, like it is, even though it is very Shakespeare, it's still like it'll because the beginning of this is a cliche rom com of like a high
Mhm.
school rom com of like going through all the cliques and going through like the nerd wants to get the beautiful girl of the popular girl, and it's like how can we do this, which I like how jumping ahead I like how he actually gets the girl because like normal rom coms is like they fall in love with the other person yada yada yada, but
Mhm.
it's like no, his whole objective is to woo this girl and it works. Yeah, I
But
really love
also
that.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt at that age, let's be real, no one's gonna believe he's a nerd. Like
Yeah.
compared to other movies that we grew up on, like in the 2000s, he is a very handsome young man there. Like he's
Yes.
not necessarily like
Hair like
gonna be
that
somebody that
as
they're gonna
well.
be turned off by.
Yeah, that mid part, you're kidding yourself. Yeah, you're you are kidding yourself. But we get to Kat and Patrick's first encounter. So Kat and Patrick's first encounter is in Mr. Morgan's class. Their witty banter and confrontational attitudes towards each other are on full display, setting the tone for their complex relationship. Patrick's nonchalant attitude towards authority and Kat's outspokenness create immediate friction, but also hinted at underlying chemistry between them. But then we get to the dating scheme unfolds. So Cameron begins his pursuit of Bianca by joining the school's French club, which Bianca is a member of. He also enlists the help of Michael to serenade Bianca outside her window, employing a romantic gestures reminiscent of Shakespearean literature, which the movie draws inspiration from. So this scene showcases Cameron's earnest determination to win Bianca's affection, whilst also highlighting Michael's loyal friendship. There's a little good quote here in the Mr. Morgan's class. It's like, Joey says, "Mr. Morgan, is there any chance we can get Kat to take her my doll before she comes into class?" And Mr. Morgan, also one of the highlights of this entire film, goes, "Someday she's going to bitch slap you and I'm not going to do a thing about it."
I love it.
I love them. So what do you think about these scenes of kind of like their first interaction? You can kind of see there's some animosity between them, but like, you can kind of see there's also a lot of chemistry between them already.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of tension.
That moment that he walks into the class, that goddamn smile that he gives multiple times in this movie, I'm sorry. Who gave him the right to just, he's unreal. But when he walks
very jokerish, that smile.
Yeah, it is. But when he walks in, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's like, "What I miss," or something like that. And then the teacher says something about Kat, and he's like, "Great," and he just walks out. So great. And I think, is this where we get introduced to the guidance counselor as well, or is that a little bit later?
Miss Perky.
Might be a little bit later.
I think that's before. I think we get Miss Perky at the beginning when
Okay. We haven't mentioned her yet.
I haven't mentioned. She's great.
Great. So Allison Janney is just the most hysterical person. But yeah, I love Mr. Morgan's character. I think he is not like a teacher that many people would ever get. But if you do ever get a teacher like that, I feel like it's like, I had one teacher, an English teacher in my senior year of high school. He wasn't quite like that, but he did definitely say a lot of things that's like you probably shouldn't say to high schoolers, but we all still respected and loved him so much because it was just so out of pocket.
Oh, yeah.
And so it definitely gives me that energy, which I think is just so fantastic. But yeah, I love these moments. Obviously, Joey being a complete idiot, obviously not even knowing what My Doll does, because My Doll just helps with cramps. It doesn't do anything for your PMS. So just kind of going to show like how much of a misogynist he is right up front, which is fantastic. Shows the complete drastic opposite ends of the spectrum with Kat and him, and kind of that continues throughout the whole movie, which is great.
Yeah, I love Mr. Morgan. Yeah, I agree. I've had teachers like him when I was in high school, and like they're the ones that you actually like take shit from. I feel like which is awesome. Their first encounter I think is really good. That it's not just like another cliche thing of like in the schoolyard he goes up to her and tries to already ask her out on the. But it's like no, they actually like they build some repertoire already. Even though it's very frictionless.
Remind me, where is the very first? Did you write down the very first time they talk? Because I cannot. I'm blanking right now. If it's in the guidance counselor office, or if I think it's in the soccer area, like the field. I can't quite remember the first time they actually like talk. But I think you're right. I think there's definitely like that tension type look going around, even from the first time we see the two characters in the same room, which I think is great.
They notice each other. Like he walks into the room and they both just stare at each other for a second, and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and she rolls her eyes, but we know deep down.
We know. But I reckon this does a lot for Joey's character, this scene as well. Like in a negative way. That like it also kind of disarms Joey as any sort of potential threat for the audience. They're like, sure, he's like would you even class him as like a high school bully? Like he's just the dumb popular guy. Like he's not like a stereotypical bully.
He's not. That's what's interesting about this movie. There's no stereotypical jock.
No.
Like we get with a lot of the 2000s rom-com or romance
Come on,
movies.
babe, get into the truck. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not that. He's just a big dope. Like he's just a dumb musclehead, and he does modeling. Like he just thinks he's too cool for school and like hot shit. But I wouldn't say that he's a typical bully. Which is interesting. We don't really get that in this movie. He would be the closest thing to it, though.
Yeah, for sure. I love that, and I love the whole French clubs stuff. This again, it's just so adorable. Of what like Cameron just will do anything. I love how like school is entire background to this film. Like you don't really ever see him actually do any work or anything like that.
Who needs it?
Exactly. But I do really like it. I love the Michael just always being the ultimate wingman, which I love this because Michael gets his rewards like at the end, which is awesome. But we get to the date auction. So to raise funds for the school, a date auction is organised, providing an opportunity for Cameron, Michael, Patrick, and other students to bid for dates with various classmates. Red flag. What type of school is allowing this to happen? That's really really weird, but
Shakespearean school, apparently.
yeah, yeah. Patrick unexpectedly bids for Kat, surprising both her and the rest of the school. So this scene serves as a turning point as it begins the relationship between Kat and Patrick's unconventional relationship. It also emphasizes the contrast between Patrick's rebellious personality and Kat's reluctance to conform to any societal expectations. So this section is quite small, so I just wanted to again pick your brain. What I just really took away from this of how weird it is that this school does a date auction with their students. That was the only part of this film. I guess it is early late 90s, early 2000s
Yeah.
from a different world. Can't do that nowadays. Cannot do that nowadays.
Yeah, I think though that there was a lot of this in rom-coms and even like some of the later 2000s movies where you see a lot of times where the high schoolers have a lot of control, and that's not super realistic. But you see it in Mean Girls, you see it in things like She's the Man, where you just things that you wouldn't be expecting high schoolers to be able to be in control of inside of their high school.
Yeah.
It's just sort of, I think, a movie thing that happens, and you just have to kind of roll with it. You can't logically try to understand it. So I've seen movies before where they'll do like a kissing booth auction. It's like high school girls just being kissed by 100 guys for money, and they're raising money for a club at school. So I think that kind of stuff just happens in films, but I don't know
Yeah.
that you ever see it happen in real life.
It's very much like a suspend your disbelief moment because
Yeah.
exactly it's that's a sort of cliche 90s 80s
Hmm.
high school film, but it's just one of those things that won't happen ever today.
No.
Definitely not. But I do think this is a very good catalyst towards the relationship of Kat and Patrick kind of growing together, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
But we get into what I think is one of my favourite scenes. So Kat reluctantly agrees to go on a date with Patrick, but as part of the arrangement, they embark on a series of misadventures, including a visit to a local music store, where Patrick performs a rendition of Can't Take My Eyes Off You by Frankie Valli. The scene showcases Patrick's vulnerability of music talents as well as Kat's gradual thawing towards him. Despite their initial reservations, they begin to develop genuine feelings for each other. There's a good little passage here. Patrick goes, "So what's your excuse? For acting the way you do. I don't like to do what people expect. Why should I live up to other people's expectations instead of my own? So you disappoint them from start, and then you're covered, right?" Sorry. Patrick says, so you disappoint them from the start and then you're covered, right? Something like that. Well, then you screwed up. How? Well, you never disappointed me. Oh, well done. Well done.
Oh,
So Bianca's dilemma. So Bianca's desire to date clashes with their father's strict rules, forcing her to navigate the complexities of teenage romance while trying to maintain her father's approval. So this scene here highlights the pressure that Bianca is feeling to conform to societal expectations, whilst also exploring themes of identity and self-discovery. Reading through my notes, it's very clear that I did study this in high school because it's a lot of, this is the theme. This is just what I remember.
yeah.
So I wrote these notes well after I watched the film. Was this where he did the "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" song? Like,
So I think that is what is done as a last kind
the
of
last resort
resort to get her attention.
to go to prom, right?
Because we have multiple moments of them talking and him attempting to get her to agree to go out.
Yeah.
And then we have the party, which we haven't really talked about,
Oh yeah,
where
let's talk about the
he
party.
upsets her. And so that's sort of the song is like the catalyst to get her back in on good terms with him
Yeah,
after the party.
yeah. The parties in this movie are great. Well, the first one I think that which you can see on our screen, people watching, that ends with the two
Yeah.
the swings, I think is a fantastic scene because it does the great scene between Cameron and Patrick where he's where Cameron's like, she never wanted me. He's like, do you like her, Cameron?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. He's like, so what are you doing? He's like, don't let anybody make you believe that you don't deserve something that you want. Go get her.
Yeah.
And he just
As Kat's like about to pass out because she's concussed.
But it's like
We
that
also
scene there is I think the catalyst that the money means fucking nothing to Patrick now.
Yeah, that's the point where I think as an audience and also for him, he realizes that he genuinely likes her.
Yeah.
And I think that was unexpected for him. And obviously, she's learned that she likes him, which was unexpected for her. And I think he's kind of forgotten about the money. But he's obviously not going to come clean about that, because how do you tell somebody something like that once you're starting to build the relationship? I take that scene of him pulling away from kissing her as, I
That's right.
actually genuinely like this girl and she's drunk and has hit her head, and I don't
And she just threw
want that
up.
to be.
Like,
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, that too.
but yeah, I agree. Like, he's very much that he's a good guy. He's an Australian. Remember that. Remember
Yeah.
that.
We
Um,
missed a really funny moment though, before all of that party, that I have to just touch on because
Absolutely.
it's one of
Yeah. I
my
don't
favorite
have
lines
everything
in
in here. So if you think of
it's okay.
something, absolutely.
When the dad agrees to let them go to the party because Kat's gonna go, because he finally convinces her, and this is after he comes to the club where her favorite girl band is playing.
Yep.
Which, can we please understand, this is supposed to be like a knockoff, No Doubt, because this is
Really.
100% Gwen Stefani vibes, which I love. Um, but yeah, she kind of starts. He wins her over a little bit by telling her she's never looked so sexy, and the whole bar can hear. I love that
That was
scene.
great when the music goes. Yep.
Yeah. And then that's sort of what I think she finally agrees, because he said, I'll pick you up at 9. And then obviously the sister is trying to go to the party and Kat agrees to go. But the dad says, all right, I want you to wear the belly.
The belly's the
She puts on
best.
the fake belly. And then she opens the door and Patrick's there. Who knocked up your sister? I just think that's of the best lines in the entire movie, because he says it so matter of fact, then he gives that damn grin smile again, and I just can't. I forgot everything that happened after.
I love that because like the band scene of what bar is letting all these high school teenagers into their bar, but like I
She's
reckon it's
probably pretending to be 18, or she
that's
might
what I
actually be
like.
18.
She might be, and if he's not, then he would definitely have a fake ID. Which
I think they're both 18. I think because they're close to like end of senior year, so I think they're both 18.
right, yeah. But I do like how they both like this music anyway, and that's already like kind of like because he definitely didn't do the research going in, but he like kept answering like all these like, oh, they like this. He's like, you listen to that? He goes, yeah, and it was like all
Well,
these
everyone
different
at the
bands.
bar knows him. Like when he walks in, the bartender
Yeah.
knows who he is.
Exactly. I love that. I love that so much. But yeah, the party scene I think is crucial for like so many realms of like, for one, it shows Kat kind of like starting to like let loose and let her
Hmm.
barriers down a bit, maybe a bit too much. But it's good that she's got Patrick there to kind of like protect that. But yeah, that scene of just them on the swings, I think is perfect. And then yeah, him turning away from her trying to kiss him, I think is actually like the best move he could do.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show like he's not drunk at all. She's drunk. He doesn't want to take advantage of that. Love that.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got it here. So Joey offers to pay Patrick to take Kat to the prom so that he can take Bianca. Patrick initially refuses, but relents when Joey offers him more money. But he doesn't refuse to take her to prom. He's like, I don't need money. Like, that's kind of what he said. He didn't say he wasn't going to take her. Like, he was
He's
just,
just willing to accept the money, I think, because he hates Joey.
yeah. When Joey kept offering more, he's like, I'm just going to take this money because it's your money. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I do think he still would have taken her. Like, I don't think the money was
Agreed.
yeah. So Kat is still angry with Patrick, but he wins her over with a serenading her with the accompany with the marching band. And she helps him sneak out of detention. The marching band scene, probably one of the iconic scene of this movie,
Hmm.
with Frankie Valli. They go on a date, which turns romantic, but Kat becomes suspicious and angry with Patrick and insists that she go with him to the prom, and an event that she admittedly is against. Bianca is irritated that Cameron hasn't asked her to the prom, and so accepts Joey's invite, which is hilarious. Like, this is also kind of a bit weird because she doesn't like Joey at all. Like, you can tell like throughout,
Mm-mm.
especially after
The
the
party.
party. I was just like, I'd already be like really pissed off at my friend if I was her, Chastity, and also be completely against Joey. But it is what it is. But I do like that she accepts it because he turns up at the house to pick him up. I think it's
Yeah.
hilarious. But Walter won't allow it unless Kat goes too. So Kat confesses to Bianca that she's dated Joey when they were freshmen and succumbing to peer pressure and sex with him. Afterwards, she regretted it, and Joey dumped her. So she vowed to never do it again and do anything because everyone else was doing it. To do anything in it because everyone else was doing it. So Bianca insists that she can make her own choices. So Kat agrees to go to prom with Patrick, and Bianca decides to go with Cameron instead of Joey. So this scene of the marching band, we just need to chat. How good is Heath in this scene? Because this wasn't the first original song. Did you know the original song that was supposed to be in this scene? It
I
was.
don't.
It was. I'm just scrolling up to the. There we go. The original song was scripted for Patrick to sing to Kat to gain her forgiveness. Was "I Think I Love You" by the Partridge Family, but they couldn't use that because it was already in Scream 2. I think I love you, but not
I
about a
don't think that
friend.
would have been good.
It wouldn't have been good at all. It was so much better with Frankie Valli.
Agreed.
Absolutely. But like, what do you think of these scenes? Of kind of like the whole marching band. I think is such a great like classic woo the
Yeah.
girl that also
Yeah.
kind of breaks my heart at the same time when they go on the date and she's like, well, what's in it for you? Like, and she like kind of already kind of suspects that there's something, and he should have just owned up there in my mind. But
Hmm.
this is all hindsight, and I'm very much like if he could go back, he would have done it. But
Yeah.
it's very much hindsight that like if he just owned up and been like, I don't care about the money. I did start to talk to you because I was told about your sister, but like, I like you. I was like,
Hmm.
I think it would have gone off a lot better than what he actually
Yeah.
did. So I think it was a bad move.
Yeah. I think it had to obviously have that big conflict to obviously lead to the conclusion of the movie. So I think it panned out the way
It needed to.
that it was
Yeah,
going to pan out, that it had to. But yeah,
very true.
I think I black out every time I watch this scene. I think it's just absolute gold. I've loved this song ever since I first saw this movie, and it actually made me pretty obsessed with Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons and Jersey Boys and all of that for quite some time.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I think he's brilliant here. I think there's just so many little moments that I'd love to believe were improvised. I actually don't know, but just little tiny things like him spanking the security guard in the butt and just like
Yeah.
being such a little goofball while running around, also doing this big romantic gesture, but then still being so silly and making her laugh, which I think for Kat, what really wins her over is the fact that he made her laugh so much and also that he's willing to embarrass himself and
Yeah.
kind of do this big thing in front of everybody for her. I don't think she's probably ever had anyone kind of go to those kind of lengths for her. And then as far as the date, I love that they're just going on like a little is that called a paddle boat? I think it's a paddle boat.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. And then
The
I don't know, I've been
paintball.
wanting to do that paintball balloon thing since I saw that movie when I was like 12 and still have never done it. Would love to do that one day. But yeah, that's just such a great like this little date montage is like what really brings it home as like a really top rom-com for me. I think you have to have some sort of date montage with music and it's just such a great one. So yeah, I love all of these scenes. I think they're some of the best in the entire movie. And then obviously you kind of have your heart broken a little bit with the conversation on the porch
Mm.
and him pushing her and she's obviously I do think one thing about Kat, I will say that I respect throughout the entire movie is that she sticks to her what she says. She is a character that states what she believes and she sticks to it. Whereas we do
Yeah.
sometimes see main characters, or especially the female character, sort of bend what they believe for the guy or, sort of change their
Yeah. It
opinion
just
on
becomes
something
like a
for the guy.
barrier that breaks down, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love that she sticks to what she believes in no matter what, no matter who the guy is. It's very much more realistic in that sense. So I really like that. I think it makes her a stronger female lead character in this, and a little bit more authentic. So it is a very heartbreaking scene to learn that they're kind of at odds again. But I think it's really important for the remainder of the story.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. The Frankie Valley scene is iconic for a reason, and I think it's cause of Heath. He ballads
Oh,
that bad boy out, doesn't he? He's so
I
good.
thought you were going to do your version, Harry, on the
I
pod.
was if Byron was here for sure. I was gonna do it, which would have been amazing. But yeah, no, I love this. I love the date scene, which is great. I agree. Your heart's broken, but you do get this is the scene where you find out exactly like where Patrick was in the last year, and that
Yeah,
kind of that's also why I think that he is definitely 18 because like if he had a year off, then he probably had to repeat a year
yeah,
of school, which makes a lot of sense. But that goes to show like all these different like high school stories and stuff of like where he's actually been is like now he's just just a good guy. Like his granddad was ill, and he just like spent his last days with him. I'm assuming the last days. I'm hoping his granddad's still alive and well.
Yeah, even still now, 25
Yeah,
years later.
yeah, probably not. But yeah, it does. At the same time, like hindsight, it would have all worked out if he was just honest with her. But I agree with you. It is very much like a catalyst for what needed to happen. But
Yeah.
it also adds more to Joey's character of being such a piece of shit. Of like
Hmm.
how him and Kat and Joey were together, and then after they had sex, then he just dumped her, and it's like, you're such a little loser.
Which is what he's trying to do with Bianca again. He even
Yeah,
told his buddy, like, I bet you I can get her, to do this with me. And so he's just using women for his own personal gain, and he doesn't care.
that was a really gross scene when like his buddy's like, yeah, he had a bet that he would be able to
Hmm.
nail Bianca, and you're like, oh, you're so weird.
Such a theme in like the late 90s, early 2000 teenager movies.
Yeah,
Really pathetic.
weird. But we get to the ending of the film. So all is going well at the prom until Bianca learns that Joey planned to have sex with her that night. Angry that Bianca has spurred him for Cameron, Joey reveals his arrangement with Patrick, which has caused Kat to leave heartbroken. So Joey then punches Cameron, which is fucking great, but then is in turn beaten up by Bianca, for having hurt her. Kat and Cameron. Bianca and Cameron then share a kiss. Lovely. So the next
I,
day, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I don't know if I'm getting the order right, but I love when what does she say? She says, that is for my sister, that is for my date, and that is for me. And she like punches them, or knees him in I think she knees him in the balls and then punches him twice or something like
Yeah.
that. And I just love that moment.
But no, he punches him once in the face because then he goes, "I've got the nose commercial tomorrow" or
Damn
something. Like,
it, Bianca, I've got a nose ad
yeah,
tomorrow.
that was it. And then she just does it again. And then there's
And
the
the
like,
balls are last. That's right, because he knocks to the ground.
but then like I don't think I've got it in my notes, but the scene the next day of like when at Mr. Morgan's class where he's like,
Got the glasses
"Whoa,
on.
Joey," he's straight away zones in on him. I love that so much. But yeah, all is going over. They share another kiss. Yep, cool. The next day, Bianca reconciles with Kat and begins dating Cameron. He's like, "Do you want to go out on my boat?" Yada yada yada. So Walter admits that Kat can take care of herself and gives her permission to attend the Sarah Lawrence College, which she got accepted into and she really wants to go to because it's the other side of the country.
Hmm.
For an assignment in which the students were required to write their own version of Shakespeare's sonnet 141, Kat reads aloud the poem 10 Things I Hate About You, and I've got this written down.
No, way to just break my heart all over again.
Yeah, I hate the way you talk to me and the way you cut your hair. He doesn't cut his hair, but it's fine. I hate the way that you drive your car. I hate the way you stare. I hate your big dumb combat boots and the way you read my mind. I hate you so much. It makes me sick. It even makes me rhyme. Then Cat Stratford sighs. I've put that in my put that in my notes. Just
Mm.
it's needed. I hate it. I hate the way you're always right. I hate it when you lie. I hate it when you make me laugh. Even worse when you make me cry. Kat's voice breaks. She looks over to Patrick. I hate it when you're not around and the fact you didn't call. But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little. Not even a little bit. Not even at all. Boom. The scenes provides closure for all characters, resolves lingering conflicts, allowing them to move forward with their lives and relationships. I love this. Patrick also has a great line. He goes, "Some asshole pay me to take out this really great girl. Is that right? Yeah, but I screwed up because I fell for her." You're like, "Oh, Patrick, you fucking loser. Oh, I love you." Like, he's great. So yeah, Patrick surprises her with a guitar, bought with the
What
money.
a gift.
Yeah, yeah, which is perfect because he bought the guitar with the money that Joey paid him with, and he confesses that he'd fallen for her. Cat forgives him, and the two reconcile with a kiss, and that is the end of Ten
I
Things.
want
Mm.
you to want me.
Yeah, hell yeah. By the way, like we said a lot about this movie about like how Heath Ledger's incredible, Julia Stiles amazing. Which Julia Stiles is amazing in anything she does. By the way,
Hmm.
she got the movie Save the Last Dance. She got that role because of
Hmm.
the scene when she's dancing on the table. That's how she got the role.
She
Which
got
is
moves.
But the soundtrack in this movie slaps
One of my favorites.
so hard. Absolutely agree. We will do a draft eventually on best movie soundtracks because I think this needs to be up there with Saltburn being number one. But that is for another episode, Ash. So I just want to hear like now that we've gone through the film, final thoughts. What's your review? What's your score? And give me a favorite scene of yours that
Oh my
isn't
gosh.
Frankie Valley.
Yeah. I mean, the review of this movie is just perfect movie, no notes, no corrections, no changes.
Yep.
5 out of 5 for me. Yeah, and I think I've said this to you guys or what in my review that no man has ever been sexier than Heath Ledger in this role as
He's
Patrick
good, isn't he?
Verona.
He's very, very
Yeah,
good.
he's just there's just nobody else who could have done it like he did. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the quick little moments I love that we didn't necessarily touch on. Um I think there's a really funny moment in the bar when they're still trying to help Patrick figure out how he's going to do this and Michael says, "Should you be drinking without a liver? If you don't have a liver?"
That's
He's like,
so
"What?"
good. It's all
Just
the
the way that
stories.
yeah, that Michael delivers his lines is so fantastic. It's so innocent, and so matter of fact. I also love when Heath Ledger's like, "What does this girl have? Beer flavored tits or something, or nipples or something?" Just so many great little one-liners like that that just add to the humor so well. I personally think this movie is really funny. I laugh out loud every time I watch it. The music's great. Again, I love some of the original songs they do. I love the live band at the prom. Um, I think that Chastity is a bitch and
Yeah, Chastity
a little
sucks.
sleazy friend, so we
Chastity
don't like her.
sucks.
I love that her name is Chastity too. I think that's absolutely fantastic because she's so clearly just willing to go with whatever douchey guy she can find that will give her attention.
Yep.
So the name is perfect. But yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I think Mr. Stratford has the most iconic lines of any father in any teenage movie ever, even more so than American Pie with Eugene Levy. I think this is like my favorite teen movie dad
Mm-hmm.
ever. Um, and yeah, I just love this movie. I think you kind of touched on a lot of the themes. I think it's rom com. I think it's coming of age. I think Heath Ledger is at some of his best here. I think Julia Stiles is perfect as Kat. I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt and David Krumholtz. I think they have great like friendship chemistry. And I
They're
also
great.
think, yeah, I think Bianca's character is great too. I think she can be a bit irritating up front, but I think she has a lot of growth. I think that she learns what's important. She kind of grows up a little bit.
Yes.
And I think it's a good reflection of how someone would be who's a bit younger than the rest of the characters. I think she has a little bit more growing to do because she's a bit younger than them. So yeah, I think this movie's just perfect. I have nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with everything you say. One aspect of the film we didn't touch on is Michael and
Mandela.
Mandela's relationship, which I think is one of my favorite side stories. I'm sorry I didn't have this in my notes, but like the whole wooing her and because she's
Hmm.
obsessed with Shakespeare, because the original script of this film was a lot darker than what it actually is. Because in the original script, Mandela referred openly and frequently to several taking life attempts
Interesting.
in which that she would join William Shakespeare. So she was like, but I'm glad they kind of took that out because I feel like that was a bit too far
Yeah.
into that obsession. But you can definitely tell that she's obsessed with Shakespeare. But like the whole Michael kind of wooing her by becoming a Shakespeare aficionado, I think is great. And then like that all encapsulates to prom when they both get dressed in like
Hmm.
medieval England attires. But yeah, I think this is one of the very best rom coms of all time. I do have it 4.5, but it could easily move to a 5.
It
This
was like
is
that for me for a long, long time. I
yeah,
just bumped it up, like I said, last year. So I think more
like
watches definitely just continue to
I
add to it.
I can see this moving to a 5 easily. But yeah, like this is a film that if anyone had it at a 5, I think is that there is no argument. Like you understand. But my favorite scene that isn't Frankie Valley is the conversation between Patrick and Cameron at the party with Julia Stiles drunk in the background, where he's like, "She never wanted me. She wanted Joey the whole time." Cameron, do you like the girl? Yeah,
Hmm. You did the
yeah,
voice really well.
yeah. And is she worth all this trouble? It's like, well, I thought she was, but well, she is, well, she is, or she isn't. She's See, first of all, Joey's not the half the man you are. Secondly, don't let anybody ever make you feel like you don't deserve what you want. Go for it. Like he's great.
Yeah.
It's
You
the
know, it's
Australian
funny now
accent.
that you're talking about it. I think I really do love the relationship between Cameron and Bianca because I think it actually shows parts of both of them that were kind of wrong that I think a lot of people need to learn lessons about when you're kind of young and starting to date because he is willing to just fake who he is to get her attention and do everything for her without even really knowing her. And she's kind of taken him for granted, thinking that she maybe wants something else like the popular hot guy. And they both kind of learn, but I think the pivotal moment for them is in the car when he tells her, you can't just use people. You can't just, he's kind of getting frustrated with her. And I think sometimes you need to be honest with somebody and kind of almost be a bit unexpected. Like he kind of speaks his mind for the first time with her, and she actually likes it.
Yeah.
And she ends it by kissing him and just walking away. It's like she's never had a guy tell her that she's not perfect. And I think she kind of likes that. She
Yeah.
wants to kind of check her a little bit because she's never had that before.
110%. Which is good. Good. I agree. Like by the end of it, like she's kind of chasing him as well.
Yeah.
Which
And you
is
should chase each other. It shouldn't be just one way
yeah.
or the other.
But it's like it's still like the societal norms of like guy asks the girl out of like
Hmm.
when she's like, when are you gonna ask me out? Like she's like, but she says it in
Yeah.
French and he can't keep up. I think that's fucking awesome. But that's what we think of 10 Things I Hate About You. Very much, I think it's obvious we both love this film, so it's great. But before we move on to the next section, I've got some of my favorite letterbox reviews that I want
Do
to
it.
throw to you because they're all a lot of fun. So Kiara, sorry if I mispronounce your name. She's done 2 reviews, but I'm sure she's listening. Both are 5 out of 5. But the first one is the moral of the story is that all men are evil except for Heath Ledger and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and honestly, big mood. 5 out of 5. She also
Love
has
it.
Kat Stratford is the most relatable character of all time because I too am disgusted by all men except 20-year-old Heath Ledger. All right, Kiara. All right, we get it.
We understand how she feels about men.
We get it, Kiara. We get it. Kathy says this is the best high school film because it includes a cowboy clique. Yes, Kathy, 5 out of 5. She gives it. Aaliyah, Aaliyah, Aaliyah. Aaliyah says 10 Things I Hate About You had a bigger impact on cinema than The Godfather, and no, I will not elaborate. 5 out of 5.
I agree.
And Jay, I think this is one of the best reviews.
Our
I've
friend
read.
Jay?
No, random Jay. But
Oh.
you know what? Fuck it. It's our friend Jay. Jay says his reviews Heath Ledger, and then like in brackets, dances downstairs with giant leaps. Christopher Nolan. Yeah, that's him. That's our Joker. But then he's given it 3.5 out of 5. So Jay, you're going and you're getting checked. Those are some of my favorite letterbox reviews, but we're going to move on to overrated versus underrated romance edition. So we've done this. I can't remember if we did it for. I think we did it for horror movies in
Yes.
October, where I've picked out 20 romance films. Some are rom coms, some are just straight romance. I've taken it to my TikTok audience and ask them if that's overrated or underrated. I'm going to be honest, TikTok is a fantastic app that always works every single time. And
Yeah.
for about like 80% of the audience, it just showed up as movie posters. But I still got enough results to kind of tell us if it's overrated or underrated. So I'm going to list out these movies for you. You're going to tell me if you think it's an overrated movie or an underrated movie and what you think the audience thinks. I'm going to tell you if you're right or wrong. So first up's a latest one, which is Past Lives. Do you think it's overrated or underrated? It's tough, these ones, because it's nominated.
Yeah, I mean, this was my favorite movie of the year, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I think it's overrated. So I guess if I had to choose, I'd pick underrated, and I feel like people might say that it's, I don't know, I feel like I want to go underrated. I don't feel like I've heard anyone say that it's overrated.
Correct. So 67% of the people have agreed with you that it is underrated. Next up, we've got Crazy Rich Asians.
I would say that it's a bit overrated. I like this movie. I think it's really fun, but I don't know. I think the hype has kind of died down for me since it came out. So I'll say overrated, and I'd say audience probably agrees.
You're absolutely correct. I also agree. Overrated, 63% of the people say it's overrated. Then we've got Love Simon. Remember Love Simon?
I actually really adore this movie. It's kind of like weirdly a comfort movie for me sometimes. I think it's underrated, but I think people probably think it's overrated.
So people do think it's overrated. 57%. So it was very close for that. But you're killing it right now. Trainwreck, starring Amy Schumer.
Okay. Hot take. I like this movie a
I
lot.
like this movie a lot as well.
Yeah, I think Amy Schumer has kind of died off for me.
I think this is
But
very much her best film.
yes, I love this movie. But people definitely think it's overrated, probably.
83% think it's
Yeah,
overrated.
people hate Amy Schumer.
Yes, they do. The Lobster. Yorgos
Ooh,
Lanthimos, coming straight out of Love, Death, and
I
Movies
mean,
catalog.
genuinely, I think it's perfectly rated. Like, I think it's exactly right. But I'm gonna go with underrated for myself and for audience.
100% of the people think it's underrated.
Yeah,
Well
definitely
done.
not talked about, not on people's radar.
No, definitely not. Sing Street. We talked about this
Ooh,
movie during this episode.
probably underrated as well.
You're killing it right now. 86% underrated. You haven't missed.
Yes.
The Big Sick. The rom.
Okay.
Do you like The Big Sick? I like The
I
Big Sick a
do.
lot. I love this movie.
I do a lot actually.
I think Cam has it at a 5 out of 5,
He
and I
does.
fuck with
Yeah.
that
Yeah. I
hard.
think Tyler does too.
Good.
Um, I'll go underrated for me.
hmm
I'm feeling kind of unsure on the audience. Let's go overrated for the audience.
She misses
No, I missed. Okay.
83% say
I
underrated.
should have stuck with my gut.
Um, Great. I haven't said if this was underrated or not. I think I know what it is. La La Land.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna say underrated because I'm not gonna call it overrated, but I definitely think people talk about it being overrated all the time.
So you think people say it's overrated?
I mean, people that I talk to say it is, so I don't know. I guess now you're confusing me.
So the audience is 64% say that it is underrated, which
Really, that
yeah,
actually shocks me
which is like
severely.
it came second in the Oscars, kind of.
Yeah, that shocks me. I think people are just lovers of it and don't want to see it be called overrated, to be honest.
Amen. So Call Me by Your Name.
Underrated for me. I love that movie.
hmm
Underrated for
So
audience?
this was tied. All right. So
Okay.
I've gone to the third judge, which is my
Okay, what's your
mom.
mom say?
Babs has come back and said, "Call Me by Your Name" is underrated. So it is correct.
Woo!
Yeah, yeah, correct. Her Spike Jones is Her, which I was
Oh,
talking to Pat about
underrated.
this the other day. Shout out
Uh-huh.
Pat, friend of the show.
Hippy
Um,
drippy?
I love that guy. He's hilarious. But we like Spike Jones has probably one of the most just consistent filmographies because there's only 4 films, but they're all brilliant. Like so in terms of like best filmmakers, like because he's got Being John Malkovich, Her, adaptation, and Where the Wild Things Are. Like,
Okay, I've only seen two of them. I actually didn't love being John Malkovich. I think I might have just missed
have
some of
you,
the point or it just didn't click for me, but
have you seen the
I haven't seen the other
adaptation?
two. Mm-mm.
Oh, what? That's on your homework list. Watch adaptation,
Okay.
please. But Her, what did you say? Underrated or overrated?
Underrated for me. Underrated for audience.
75% underrated. Nice. Um, the Charlie Day starring I Want You Back.
Oh, I actually really liked that movie. I thought
So
it
do
was
I. I thought
cute.
it was very adorable.
But I'm a Jenny Slate lover through and through.
Was this the one with the Pete Davidson cameo? Where he was dating like some high school girl?
Oh, it
Is that
might
that one?
be. This one has Gina Rodriguez, Charlie Day, Jenny Slate,
Yep.
and I'm blanking on the other guy.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I'm
The
blanking, but I'm gonna say maybe I guess I'll say I don't know, underrated for me. I mean, as far as on people's radar, but maybe overrated for I don't know. I'm feeling unsure about this one.
hmm.
I'll go double underrated.
Overrated 75%, unfortunately. Sorry
I don't
to
even see how that's possible. Like no one talks about this
I
movie, and
agree.
it's
I
rated like a
agree.
3.2, so it's
I
not
think
overrated.
I feel like people that voted for that haven't even seen the film, so
I agree with you. Yeah,
yeah.
that
I
seems
think
weird.
the movie's great. It was good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Bridesmaids.
Mm. Underrated for me, but probably overrated. People don't love
Correct.
this movie.
60%. I think the movie's great.
I don't think it's fair that The Hangover gets the praise it gets and Bridesmaids gets the hate that it gets.
Yeah, agreed.
But I do think The Hangover is better. I'm not saying that, but I don't think it's fair. I think because it is an all-female cast of the same type of thing, it is hated on way more.
Yeah, like I'm not a big Melissa McCarthy fan, but I think she's brilliant in Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Um, Awesome. I put this one in especially for you. John Tucker Must Die. Yeah,
This movie was my childhood.
I knew it would be.
Sophia Bush, Brittany Snow, Ariel Cabell. What's the Ashanti? Oh my God,
Yeah.
her acting little career. Oh, John Tucker Must Die. I mean, I think it's kind of overrated, but I love it.
Wow, underrated, says the audience.
I mean,
60% at least.
I don't know. I think
It's a classic, like a cheesy early 2000s rom com.
it's not good though. And
No.
there's so many moments in it that I'm just like, God, this is really bad. Like the fact that I thought that this was normal as a teenage girl, it's bad, but
Yeah.
I still adore it.
Hell yeah. All right. We're getting to the end. 500 Days of Summer.
Underrated for me. I feel like people think it's overrated though.
This one was also tied. Went off to the third umpire, and my mum
Let's see what
said
she said.
that it is underrated. She really likes this
Okay.
movie. Underrated. So she agrees with you at least.
People hate on it. I feel like especially as we've gotten older, I've noticed more and more people kind of don't love it like
That
they
movie's
did when it
fucking
first came
awesome.
out.
Movie's fucking
Yeah.
great. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite romance films of all
Hmm.
time. We get to a personal favorite of mine. I Love You, Man. Hmm.
Come on, Harry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Underrated. I have told so many people this is like the movie. I feel like when people watch it, like I'm the reason that they watched it. For a lot
Yeah.
of people on TikTok, I will take pride in that. Okay,
Hell yeah.
this is my one movie that I get to say I recommend to so many people and they watch it. Yeah, underrated. Underrated. I don't know how anyone could call this movie overrated. And if they do,
67%
I will
say
find them and I will
67% say it's underrated, so they agree with
well, I'm
you.
gonna find that other
I
33%
can I
and
can give you usernames. I will send you the screenshot after.
okay.
She's the Man. Amanda Bynes.
I
Man,
just rewatched this not that long ago. I have a lot of nostalgia with it, but I personally think it's overrated,
it is
and
overrated, so
people
does
think that too.
67% also agree. Um, Will Smith starring Hitch. Remember Hitch? I think it was
Yeah, I don't love
2004,
this
2005,
movie.
2006.
I'm not a huge Will Smith fan, so I'll go with overrated and the same for audience.
75% say that he did not slap in this film. Overrated. Little,
Eva Mendes is innocent though.
yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. If you mess with Eva Mendes, you gotta talk to Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Um, Last three. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Ooh, I
Underrated
love this
or
one.
overrated?
Underrated.
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 60% agree with you. Underrated. Lost in Translation.
Underrated for both.
Yep, 100% of people agree with you there. And then last but not least, the Christmas classic Love Actually.
Overrated.
So that was tied. We go to the third
Okay, well,
umpire.
I'm gonna say audience underrated then because I know your mom probably said underrated.
My mom said, I absolutely adore Love Actually.
Yeah.
Who actually thinks this is overrated?
Me.
Boom.
I do.
Yeah,
I'm
classic.
sorry.
Well, there you go. But you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 out of 20. That's really good. 75%. That's unreal. Well done.
Take it. That's a C.
So that's another version of underrated versus overrated. But we go into the last aspect of this episode, which we're doing a little fun draft, and we're drafting our 5 favorite characters from 10 Things I Hate About You. This movie is absolutely
No.
chock-a-block with such good characters, but also some terrible characters. So it depends on
Yes.
how this goes towards the end of the 10. But this is gonna be fun.
Mhm.
But we did a little digital coin flip, and Ash gets to go first. But this won't be a snake draft; it'll just be back and forth, just because there's two of
Okay.
us. It would be kind of weird if it's a snake draft. If it's
More fair that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it's just back and forth, I think. But Ash, for your first pick, who would be your favorite 10 Things I Hate About You character?
Okay. Well, after we talked about it today, I'm definitely gonna take Patrick.
Damn it!
Sorry.
That
I
is the
normally am
correct pick.
tied with him and someone else, but I'm gonna go with Patrick.
Well, I'm going to take the other person. I'm going to go Kat Stratford.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
You can't really go wrong with either of them.
That's the 1-2 right there. That is 1-2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done.
Okay. Back to me then.
Back to you.
I'm gonna take my second favorite character then outside of them, and I'm gonna take Mr. Stratford.
Oh, I like that a lot. So that's Walter, right? Yeah, Walter Stratford.
Yes.
That's a
He's
great
the
one.
man.
Well, I'm going to take the beautiful Cameron James, played by Joseph
So
Gordon-Levitt.
great. He's so innocent in
He's
this
so
movie.
innocent.
Just an
He's
innocent little baby.
He's a sweet little boy.
Love it. Okay.
There's so many correct answers.
I know it's
Yeah.
hard. Okay, I have two options here, and I feel like I'm gonna go.
Chastity? You want to go Chastity? I can write down Chastity for you right now.
She's just such a little ugh, hate her. Um, I'm gonna take Bianca. I really
Yep.
like her, especially by the end. I think just alone for the kicking Joey's ass, I think she
Hmm.
deserves to be third on the
Yeah,
list.
that's a great pick. Okay, well now I'm down to. I thought
Running out of good people.
my decision was going to be so easy. I'm going to go Mr. Morgan.
That's great pick. That was who I was between her and him. He's
Yeah,
just fantastic.
I love Mr. Morgan so much.
We didn't even talk about the coach at all during
Yeah.
the breakdown. She go left, go right. Well, how are we going to distract him? Flashing your teacher? Like, come on.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Mr. Chaplin. Mr. Chaplin.
Yeah.
Where he's just like you got them pot, don't you? I'll be taking this, and then he can walk past a pack of cheese. Goes, I'll be confiscating this as well.
Yeah, that one kid, he's like, why are you so nervous?
You're sweating a lot, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Fourth pick. I guess I'll take Michael. I think
Yeah,
Michael's a good character. He's a real wholesome guy.
yeah. That was who I was choosing between Mr. Morgan and Michael. Okay. Well, now we kind of get to the bottom, right? Let's just both agree Joey's not getting picked. Like, let's leave
Fuck
him.
that guy.
Yeah, let's leave him off the board. I
In good conscience, can't take him.
I love this storyline, so I'm gonna go Mandela. I
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she's awesome. I love that storyline with the Shakespeare obsessed girl.
Yeah, she wasn't quite in it enough, but I do really like her.
Yeah, she's a good fourth round pick.
hmm
Yeah.
Okay. Is this my final pick?
This is your final pick. We both have one
All
more.
right. We're gonna go with a character we also didn't get to talk too much about, and that's Miss
Miss
Perky. I
Perky.
mean, I'm sorry. Like her sexy romance novel that she's writing the entire time, talking about his member and all this stuff. It's just
I've got
so
the quote. I've got the
hysterical.
quote if you want it.
Engorged.
Patrick Verona. Verona. I see we're making weekly visits. I see we're making our visits a weekly ritual. Only so that we can have these moments together. Should I hit the lights? Miss Perky goes, "Oh, very clever, kangaroo boy." Says here you've exposed yourself in the cafeteria. I was joking with the lunch lady. It was a bratwurst. Bratwurst? Aren't we the optimist? Next time, keep it in your pouch, okay? Scoot.
And then she types bratwurst instead of
Bratwurst.
member.
So good. Um,
Fantastic.
that's great. The last person I have on my list, we already mentioned him, is Mr. Chapin. I
Great
that
pick.
that that detention scene alone deserves him the fifth round pick. I think.
Yeah.
You got them pot, don't you? Like
Yeah.
I
Can't
love it.
take Joey, can't take Chastity. They're the worst characters.
Amen. But that is our episode for 10 Things I Hate About You. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here, Ash. We do miss you, Byron. We do miss you. But next episode, we are going through a trilogy, which is going to be the last episode of the romance month that we have for February. We're going through all of Richard Linklater's Before trilogy. So before you next week, if you can, I sincerely hope you can, and you do, watch Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. And then join in the conversation. But until next time, I'm Harry. Oh, also follow us on everything. Whoops. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. Follow us on all of our socials. All the links are in everywhere. We're trying to get links in bios, but we have to be 1,000 followers because TikTok's incredible. We're available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. If you're watching or listening to wherever you are, go follow us on everything else. But yeah, until next time, I'm Harry. This is Ash. This is the Love, Death, and Movies, and we'll see you at the movies.